Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. April is already over. Where is the time going? I personally don't have any idea what the hell is going on, but I can tell you this. We got some game pickups to talk about today in today's episode of Growing the Game Wall. That's right, I forget how many episodes this is already at this point, but we got quite a few bangers in today's episode, and you're gonna notice something. We didn't go as crazy this past month. That's a good thing, considering how much I've been buying up in the past couple of months. I kind of needed to take a chill pill. So we're going to go through these and hopefully go through them pretty fast. Anyways, that out of the way, welcome to the C's Arcade.
Get ready.
Alright, let's start off with claim sales. That's right, we're going to talk a little bit about claim sales. I do want to make a separate video regarding claim sales and kind of explain them for those of you who aren't familiar with them. Anyways, let's talk about what we picked up in terms of claim sales. So first off, we have an N64 game with its manual. This N64 game is called Chopper Attack. And I paid only $7 for this one, and I got it from Secret Game Stash on Instagram. Only $7, can go wrong. This is actually a Midway game. Midway was, all over the place back in the 5th generation of consoles. And this is not a bad game at all. I actually played some of it, and I kind of got hooked on it. It's actually pretty fun. And since I picked up Army Men Air Combat, I was like, I want to play some more of these helicopter games. And this is another one of them. Came with the manual. You can't go wrong when a game comes with a manual, especially one from this era. So yeah, $7 for Chopper Attack. From what I played, it's very arcadey but very cool and a lot of fun at the same time. Simple but fun. That's something I love about this console. Next up, from TNT Games and Collectibles, we paid $12 for Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA. And from what I've played so far, this game is tough. I've played the Rush series in the past, and this one is pretty good. The graphics are pretty decent. However, I can't seem to win a race in this game. I don't know what it is. I know I'm shit when it comes to the driving in this one, but I don't know. I just can't win a race. I don't know why. I suck. And we also picked up from TNT Games and Collectibles Ocarina of Time 3D. This was a game I owned in the past. Hell, my unboxing is still up on my old channel, and that was one for the ages. I missed that video. But here it is, Ocarina of Time 3D. I'm glad I got it. It actually came complete with the manual. That's barely a manual. I think it was like a fold-out manual or something, but I liked this one. It was the only Zelda game that I actually completed and finished. And I had to play it because it's Ocarina of Time. But now that the eShop is closed, I gotta pick up some of these 3DS games before they shoot up in price. This was one of those games. Paid only $25 for that one. Next up, we got a PS1 title from Cali Claims, and this is for a Psygnosis and Traveler's Tale game called Rascal. I don't know about you, but if you see the main character on here, this kid is like so 90s. Like, he reminds me of the Burger King's Kids Club or something main character. Yeah, listen, if you grew up in the 90s, you know what I'm talking about. You know he kind of looks like this character. From what I've played, this is a 3D platformer. And, oh man, the Rascal character design by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Really? Listen, from what I've played so far, it's a 3D platformer with tank controls and a very temperamental camera. Granted, back in the 5th generation, most 3D platformers had temperamental cameras. Croc had it, Gex had it. This one seems to have a really, really extreme version of it. And like I said, tank controls don't really mix well with 3D platforming, but it's not terrible from what I heard. And from what I played, I like the colorful graphics in it. $10 for that from Cali Claims. Thank you, Cali, once again. Next up, we got a claim from my boy, Keisha Boy Games. This was $10. This was a game that I used to own, but traded it in, and I wanted to own again. And that is Vanquish on the Xbox 360. It's a Platinum game, and it is bonkers. Like, this game is really crazy. You got this exoskeleton suit that you're allowed to like skate on the floor and slide and stuff like that. Listen, the gameplay speaks for itself. I'm describing it horribly here, but you understand what I'm trying to say. This game is crazy. It's Platinum Games at their finest, and it's a pretty decent game at the same time. It got reviewed well, but didn't sell well, so that was unfortunate, but hey, now I have it in my collection. So thanks again to Keisha Boy Games. Speaking of Keisha Boy Games, he tagged me in some other claim sale from a seller that goes by the name Game Swappers. Yeah, this one was a little confusing because it was one account that I got tagged into to claim sales. I claimed, and then another account messaged me about the payment, and it was the Game Swappers. Post-production edit here. The actual account where I was able to claim these games from was called Clusterfuck of Shit. Yeah, a very interesting account name, but that's usually where this guy posts the claims and then he'll contact you with his other account for the invoice. So just a heads up. We got a pretty good stack of games from him, and it was a pretty decent deal actually, because some of these were dirt cheap. So first off, I picked up, of course, he was selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I had to get Slifer the Sky Dragon because this is one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I never got around to owning. It's not really related to this, but it factors into the price. It was $3, all right? So I have to put that in there because I don't remember how much these were individually. Next up, we have a racing game for the N64 called Automobili Lamborghini. Why it's called that, I have no idea. But here it is. Here's the gameplay. It plays like any other N64 racing game at the time. Not a whole lot of substance to it. Controls decent enough where I can find myself having some fun with it. But I don't know, I'm just like on a N64 racing game kick. And since there were so many racing games on the system, I kind of want to own some of them. So I picked it up. It was very cheap, trust me. You'll see when I factor in the grand total. Here's another one we have, F1 World Grand Prix, and I'm not a big F1 fan, but considering how much this one was going for, I couldn't pass it up, so I picked it up. It's you gotta be a fan of F1 to really get the most out of this game, which I am not. I'm just like a casual racing game fan. It's more simulation than arcadey, which is not really my forte, but it plays decent enough and it's really well made. So let's put it up for F1 Grand Prix. Here's another one we picked up, Knockout Kings 2000. I actually enjoy boxing games, in case you didn't know. I have my Rocky review up on the channel that I still have to make a sequel for, but yeah, I like boxing games, and this one is no different. I played a little bit of this. It's very arcadey, but it's still pretty good, and the graphics are not bad for the time. So yeah, Knockout Kings 2000. Couldn't go wrong with that one either. And last but not least, from the Game Swappers, we have Quantum Redshift on the original Xbox. This was a futuristic racing game, and it was kind of interesting. I haven't really played it that much, but you can tell that these guys, this was actually made by Microsoft themselves, I think. I don't remember. Yeah, this was one of those Xbox Game Studios games, and it never really took off, obviously, because we never heard of the series again. But it's nice to own Quantum Redshift, and it's in great shape too. What the hell? That was a mistake. Yeah, the disc is fine. Don't worry. No problems here. I hope. I really gotta test this. Okay, at least it comes with the manual. I love manuals. Yep. All of those came out to $23 in total. That's with shipping. So think about how much I only paid for those games. Not a whole lot. And that's it for claim sales. The rest we got is all from eBay. And usually I tend not to go to eBay for games. And since I prefer to get things off claim sellers, unfortunately not everybody is selling the games you're looking for in those claim sales. So I ended up getting some of these off eBay, and we're going to talk about those now. So what did I get? On the 3DS, I got for $21 Yoshi's New Island. Probably my least favorite Yoshi game. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. There's nothing really to talk about with this one. I just kind of wanted to own it because it's a first party 3DS game that I did somewhat enjoy. So add that one to the 3DS collection. Next up we have Wipeout 64. You know, I always thought that Wipeout was exclusive to Sony platforms, but boy was I wrong. Apparently Wipeout also came out on the Sega Saturn, and they also made a version on the Nintendo 64. So from what I've played from this one, it's difficult, it feels like Wipeout, it looks great, the graphics are very saturated, I love that 5th generation clunkiness to the polygons and everything. This game looks good, it plays decent enough. Like I said, racing games on the N64, I want them. $11 for Wipeout 64. Next up we have a weird one. This one is called Lode Runner 3D. It is a 3D version of a series that's existed in the past for other consoles. Me personally, I never played it, but it's kind of like a puzzle platformer, and it's pretty challenging from what I've played. The graphics aren't the greatest, but at the time, it is what it is. It's a very interesting game, and I could see myself getting sucked into the challenge in this game. So yeah, add that one to the N64 collection. Next up we have Beetle Adventure Racing. It's a game just focused on beetles. The cars. You know the car beetle? The beetle cars? Yes. This game is actually a nice surprise. It's one of those hidden gems on the N64, and it's pretty good. The tracks are nice and long in terms of the circuits themselves, and from what I played, there's like a level in there that parodies Jurassic Park with a T-Rex popping out through the background. Like, how could you not love it at the time? And the handling on this game is actually really good, and the graphics are pretty good and pretty solid. I like this game. I don't know about you. If you played Beetle Adventure Racing, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Once again, $13.50 for that one. Really enjoyed it. It's just a fun game. Next up, we have a game that I already owned before. However, the copy that I owned was in piss poor shape, and I had to get a better copy of it because I love this game so much and it means so much to me. Diddy Kong Racing. I paid around $22 for this one, but look at how much better this copy is. It's in much better shape than the one I used to own, which is now about to be shipped away, so I'm not going to be able to show it. But here it is, Diddy Kong Racing. I love this game so much. It was the introduction to Conker, introduction of Banjo. Some of Rare's most iconic characters were introduced in this game. And this is one I just remember us renting a few times and really enjoying it, but we never owned it. So I'm happy to have this one in my collection once again. Next up, we got a PS1 game. For $16.50, I picked up Tiny Tank. I feel like not a lot of people know about this game. It's funny because I remember playing one of those demo discs on the PlayStation, probably a PlayStation magazine, that had a demo for this game. And I just absolutely lost it at the time when the tank started like cursing and it was being bleeped out and the opening cinematic.
Tanky, what the is that?
You're being difficult.
You're being an...
And when I played it, it was actually really fun. I love the graphics for this game. Sure, they're not very varied in terms of the environments, but the Tiny Tank himself is a very expressive little tank, and the gameplay is really fun. If you haven't played Tiny Tank before, I would definitely check it out, especially if you like tank games, because it's one of those games that not a lot of people played at the time, and you never hear anybody talking about it, so check it out. Next up, we have Rocket Robot on Wheels for the N64. Comes in this really nice red cartridge. And this game is really getting up there in terms of price. This one cost me 60 bucks. Not happy I had to pay that much for it, but given that it was one of Sucker Punch's first games, if not their first game, and if you know Sucker Punch, they're the ones who made the Sly Cooper series, I really am enjoying it. It's a 3D platformer, but it's more slower, more methodical based. It's actually pretty good, and a lot of people probably skipped this one in the past, and that's probably why the price is so high for it. It's one of those uncommon N64 games, and sure, it has its faults, but it's got a lot of charm as well. The label on this one is a little faded, a little washed out, but it still gets the job done. And last but not least, in terms of 3D platformers, we have Earthworm Jim 3D on the N64. You notice something with this cartridge? Yeah, its front label's got a Blockbuster sticker on it that's kind of torn through it. There's no actual motherboard in that cartridge. That's because the seller threw this in there as a bonus. They actually swapped the cartridge, reproduced the label, and put it in this sick translucent yellow, it's like a neon yellow at this point, cartridge. Look at that. Sure, the labels are repros, but they look so damn good. You couldn't even tell me the difference. And it even had a label on top as well. Checked it, it's 100% official. They just decided to swap it. And I bought it for, it was expensive, 75 bucks. I'm not proud of that. It's one of those uncommon N64 games, and I had to own it because it was a 3D platformer as well. From what I played so far, it's actually pretty fun. It's Earthworm Jim. The whole humor is crude, and I've never actually played an Earthworm Jim before, and this is my first entry into the series, and I look forward to picking up part 1 and part 2 on the Genesis at some point. But yeah, Earthworm Jim 3D in this sick cartridge. I swear to God, you put this in black light, it's actually a black light. Look at this, it glows. The freaking cartridge glows. Dude, what is going on here? I want more cartridges like this. I don't care if they're custom, I want more like these. These are cool to own. So anyways, that's it for today's episode of Growing the Game Wall. Like I said, a little more compact, a little more focused, and not as much games bought, which is fine because I'm starting to run out of room. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this type of content and want to see more, hit the like button, share the video with some of your friends, of course. Let me know in the comment section below if you've played any of these titles and your memories with them. Anyways, thanks for watching once again, everybody. I wish you all a good game and a good night.